on the mic volume and we are live. We're back. Hello everybody. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. I guess if you can't hear me, you will never know that I asked.
That's a good point. Maybe you should write it in the chat.
Yeah, good one. Okay. Type a message. Oh, we can hear, but could be a bit louder. Okay. Maybe if we go. How about now? Is it better? Is it worse? No change? I guess no change. Maybe a bit. Okay. It's cranking up to 11. Hello, Sandy. Hello. Hello, Sandy. Hello, upstairs girl. Oh, night's good. Fantastic. Ooh, we made it. Some last minute technical issues, but just to make everything more exciting. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us again. Hello, Jermaine.
Hello. Hello again. Hello, Jay. Hello, guys.
And today we'll continue to work on our world famous Seagull game. So I'm going to switch to the Unity editor and you can see us. That's okay.
I think there's another setting where you can enable face. Big faces. Is it big faces?
Yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So if you joined us last week, you can see that there are some changes on our level. It is much nicer. I'm loving it so far. Jermaine worked on it, and on the second part of the stream he's going to go over what he did and work a little bit more on our level design. So but before that, on the first part, we're going to work on the logic that happens when the Seagull tries to eat an object that is too big for it. Quick recap. If I select my Seagull here, the Seagull have this variable called size. There's a macOS feature. Oh, sorry, talking with myself. But anyway, so the Seagull has this variable named size. As it eats things that are smaller than it is, it gets bigger, the size number grows bigger. But what if the Seagull size is 2 and it tries to eat the shark that is size 8, for instance? So what we're going to do is, so this is the object that the Seagull is going to try to eat. My fist is the Seagull. When the Seagull makes contact with the object, I'm going to push the Seagull back like it just bumped its head on a wall, and I'm going to reduce its size a little bit. And I'm going to do the setup to check for a possible game over situation where the Seagull is smaller than a given size. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the food collision graph. Again, another reminder, we are doing this using Unity's visual scripting tool. Mostly because it is not easy to find Unity's visual scripting resources online. I mean, if you look for C# stuff, you're going to find a whole bunch of stuff, but not a lot on visual scripting. So we decided to create this. And another reminder, we are putting this project on
YouTube?
Bitbucket. Sorry,
Bitbucket.
on
Okay.
Bitbucket, so you can download it and play around with it. And if you do something weird or crazy or cool with it, share with us. We'd love to see. So here we have the logic that happens when the Seagull tries to eat something. Quick recap. First thing I do, I check the tag of the object that the Seagull collided with. Check if it is edible. If it is edible, so if true, I check if the object is smaller than the Seagull, and if it is, I'll call the increase Seagull size function, which, as the name says, it's going to increase the Seagull size. I'm going to destroy the object that the Seagull collided with. So if it is, I don't know, a bag of chips, it just disappears from the world. And finally, I update the camera position. So, to start doing the logic when Seagull eats something that's too big, I'm going to create a couple of variables here. First of all, I'm going to create one called pushback force. And I'm going to type it as a float. And I'm going to set a value of 20 for starters. So this is the force that I'm going to apply in the Seagull to push it back when it hits an object. And finally, one other thing I want to do is to prevent the player from simply keep moving forward as I push the object back, and you have two concurrent opposite forces. I'm going to disable the input for a little while, just so the player kind of feels the hit, right? So it's going to hit, push back, player won't be able to control it. Given time after, you can move again. So I'm going to create a disable input time, and I'm going to start with a value of 2. Again, just these are values that I tested before the stream. They felt good. Maybe we can tinker around with it. Great. So I'm going to start in my false node here. So is the object smaller than the Seagull? No, it's not. It's false. So I need to do something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a vector tree. And this vector tree will get on the x-axis the value of the pushback force. There we go. And the other value is going to be 0, 0 because I'm going to be pushing the Seagull on the x-axis. So once I've created that, I'm going to add another node called add force. As the name implies, I am going to apply a force to the rigid body that is attached to the Seagull. So I'm going to get link the nodes. Oh, actually, it's not this set. I need the one that returns me a vector 3. Is it this one? No, this is the one I already have. Oh boy.
That's a big part of visual scripting, is fishing around for nodes.
Yeah, it's not
with specific names.
Actually, it's not a set. It's a new vector tree, not a set.
You guys on?
It's create, not new. It's create. There you go. Brilliant. I'll set it here. There. Okay. Great. So now I'm applying the force, and I'm going to change the mode to impulse. And on the Unity documentation, you can read about the difference between the modes, between the force modes that you can apply to a rigid body. So why don't we give it a quick test and see what happens when we do this. And Jermaine, I'm going to ask for an apologies in advance. I'm going to mess around with your level a little bit, just to make things easier for me to test. I'm going to duplicate this model here. And where's my Seagull? There it is. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. There you go.
I don't think this design's going to work.
Well, just because we have
well, for the case of hitting a building, I guess.
Just because we have a building in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
So I'm going to add a box collider to this building, of course, so I can, as the name implies, collide with it. need to set the tag to Ansible and set it to trigger. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna run my game. I don't think I forgot anything. There's always the yeah, we need to set its size, of course.
So, is there any reason you chose to use a trigger instead of a collider?
It's just that in the beginning we were thinking about the Seagull just passing through stuff it could meet, right?
Yeah.
So just using a trigger. So the difference between a trigger and a non-trigger is that the trigger collider is only going to check for logical hits, right? So not physical hits. I mean, we could potentially replace everything with a non-trigger collider. Maybe it's something that we can.
Okay. One thing you might want to do is disable the feather explosion particle effect that we're gonna use later. That repetitive.
Yeah, that's in the spoiler, right? Okay, there you go. Let me select the built-in again. I was adding the size variable, so I'm gonna set float size of 100, just to just to make it big enough. So let's see what's gonna happen. Fingers crossed. I haven't forgotten anything. There we go. We have our Seagull and
oh, look out for that building.
see, I forgot something. Of course I did. What have I forgotten? That's why I hate live coding, see? Okay. This is really, maybe... Shouldn't need a rigid body to it, should I? Trigger, on trigger enter. Let's have a rigid body. Use gravity, collision detection, continuous this. I shouldn't need to add that because it's on the Seagull already. And let's see. Didn't notice if we had any errors. But anyway, let's see how it goes. Should get getting closer to the Seagull. Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
And then we have a problem that problem is intentional. And we're going to talk about it in a second. Fantastic. Okay, so now we are detecting a collision with the building. And let's do it again. And as you can see,
that's pretty cool though.
it is, isn't it? As you can see, my Seagull bumps its head and it just keeps going back and back and back and back forever, right? And that's because I've applied a force to it. And if I go to the Seagull's rigid body, let's select the Seagull here. And if I look at its rigid body, you have a drag of 0. That means that there are no forces acting against this force that I've added to the Seagull. So the Seagull is moving backwards, and it's not losing any energy because the drag is 0. It's basically essentially the same as, throw. Is the Seagull okay? He'll be okay, Garn. Don't worry. Same as throwing a ball in space. There's no air resistance. The ball is just going to keep going. So it's the same happening with our Seagull. So let's increase our Seagull drag to I don't know, like 5, and let's see how it behaves.
Like in a science lesson.
Yeah.
Learning a lot today.
See? Let's go. And bump. Maybe 5 is too much because see, it breaks, kind of breaks too hard, right? Let's try a little bit less. Let's try 2. Too much, maybe? Too much. Let's try 3. Let's see how 3 goes. I think that's good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, cool. Now, I mentioned that I wanted to disable the input, right? Just to avoid this. like I'm still able to keep bumping my Seagull noggin on the building, so I have to disable it a little bit. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm applying the force, and I am going to first of all go back to my movement controller. Before that, I'm going to add a variable to my Seagull called enable. Enable input. Oh my god. Enable input. That's going to be a boolean, and I'm going to set it to true. And then on my input control, I'm going to first of all get this this object variable, enable input, and I'm going to check if this enable input variable is true. And I'm only going to detect the input of my keyboard and my mouse if enable input is true. And I'm going to add this to my rotation controller as well. Paste it here. If true, there you go. Now I'm going to go back to my foot collision. And after adding the force, I'm going to call set object variable, enable input, and I'm going to set it to false. So here I'm setting up a boolean value. Since booleans are true or false, this is represented by a checkbox. Set it to false. And let's see what happens. Okay, let's press play. And I hit. And now, of course, I disable my input. I can't control the Seagull anymore. But of course, that's kind of a poor game now because I can't control my Seagull anymore. So after a while, I want to re-enable this input. So to do that, I'm going to create a coroutine, which is essentially a function that allows me to wait for a while before executing its logic. So I'm going to create here on my foot collision graph. I'm going to create a custom event called actually I don't need to give a name. I can give it. I'm going to set it as a coroutine. Where do I set the name? I need to give it a name. Is it a custom event? It's a custom event. Oh yeah, the name is here. And I'm going to call it enable input. Inside enable input, I'm gonna not wait for next frame, place, wait for seconds, and I'm gonna wait for the value that I put in the variable disable input time. So I'm gonna get this variable, get graph variable that is called, oops, not push by force, disable input time. And after this this time, I'm going to set my object variable. I'm going to set my enable input to true. And finally, after I set my enable input to false, I'm going to it's not called, how's it called? Trigger. There you go. Trigger custom event, and I'm going to trigger the event enable input. There you go. So quick recap of what we did here. If the object is too big for the Seagull, I create a vector 3 with the pushback force on the x-axis, add this force to the Seagull's rigid body, disable the input, and call the coroutine that will re-enable the input in 2 seconds. Let's see if that works.
Let's see how long the Seagull's gonna have to wait to stop being paralyzed.
Let's see, there he goes. Bonk. 1,
Nice.
2. Bonk. 1, 2. Bonk. 1, 2. Maybe 2 is too long, maybe the force is too little, maybe the drag is too big. This is stuff that you need to tinker around and play around with.
That would be cool. I was just thinking this would go really well with a camera shake. Maybe that's something we can work on one week, like a camera shake when you hit something.
Camera shake, a sound effect, a bonk.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go.
No, I like it. It's good, man.
Yeah. It's getting good. So, the next step is we need to decrease the size of the Seagull when it hits an object that is too big, right? So what I'm gonna do, and it is our graph is becoming a little bit cluttered. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a subgraph, and I'm gonna handle the change of the size of the Seagull on a subgraph called decrease Seagull size. There you go. So I'm going to put this subgraph right here. So I'm going to apply the force, reduce the Seagull size, disable input. And let's open this. Let's open the subgraph. I'm going to put a start node and an end node, and the magic's going to happen in here. Cool. So again, you need to play around. Hello, Water Gunner sent us a whole bunch of emojis. I'm not sure what these are. They're too little on my screen, Oscar. Let me know what these are, please. So again, playing around, understand what feels good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the size of the Seagull by 10%. So I'm going to get its current size, multiplied by 0.9, and set the scale of the Seagull accordingly. So I'm going to start by getting the variable, get object variable size, and I'm going to set here a float literal, set it to 0.9, and I'm going to multiply these two. Search for the multiply node. There you go. Brilliant. Now I have the new Seagull size, and I'm going to create a vector tree with this new value on all the 3 axes. There you go. And then let's give myself some space here. I'm going to set the scale of the Seagull transform to this new vector 3. Brilliant. After I've done that, I need to set my size variable to the new value. So next step, set the size variable. I'm going to get here the result of the multiplication, plug it here, and that is it for now. I hope, fingers crossed. Again, I'm always terrified that something bad's going to happen. Good. Oh, these I can identify. These are these llamas, Gordon? I think so, right?
Either llamas or goats. But we're working with seagulls today.
Yeah.
So unless you got a seagull emoji.
Yeah, you're a bit confused. Okay, so let's keep an eye on the. I was going to point the variable to people. I'm not used to this streaming thing. So let's keep an eye on the size variable of our Seagull. See if it's working. It is not working, and you know why? Because I'm not calling my subgraph. Let's get back here and see. I'm not going to my subgraph, so I need to reconnect this thing here like this, and now it should work. Let's see. Yeah, oh, that was your Gordon. Your animal puns are unbearable. So let's see its size. Hey, there you go. 0.9. Is it getting smaller? I think so, right?
It looks like it's getting smaller. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go crazy. So instead of reducing by 10%, let's reduce it by 90%, and see how it looks. Give it a pause, Gordon. Okay, let's see. Hey, there's our Seagull is smaller.
Amazing.
It's smaller than the.
It's almost too small to see.
Yeah, it's became a fly. Okay, brilliant. So, it is working. Fantastic. So, last thing we're gonna do today in terms of, hey, thanks, Natalie. Looks cool. I think so too. It's coming along nicely. So the last thing I'm gonna do before passing on to Jermaine is I'm going to, again, the value of the size. So what I'm gonna do is, again, on my Seagull game object, I'm gonna add a variable, I don't know, called game over size. And it's gonna be a float, and I'm gonna set it 0.5, meaning that if the Seagull gets smaller than 0.5, it's game over. Remember again that when you eat stuff, Seagull gets bigger, so not an issue at all. Great. So I have the variable, I have my size. I'm gonna get my game over size variable. There you go. And I'm going to compare using the less operation. So A is going to be my new size, and B is going to be my game over size. And then I'm gonna add an if node. And if my new size is smaller than B, the game over size, then it's game over. So if that's true, that's game over. If that's false, the game continues. And just to see if if our game over condition is actually working, I'm gonna connect my true node to the developer's best friend, the debug message, and I'm going to print on Unity's console game over. There you go. And let's see if that works. Okay. Fingers crossed, everybody. I'm gonna have thank you, Jermaine. That's an important part of game development as well. It's to have somebody crossing the fingers all the time.
It's all a great deal of luck.
Yeah. That's true story. That's why giant game development companies have so many people. There's always somebody crossing the fingers and to ensure that things work properly. So I'm gonna bump. So I go to 0.9, 80, 72, 65, 59. This should be the last one. Oh, not yet. 53, 47, and game over. Fantastic. So we've prepared the terrain for our game over logic. Our Seagull is decreasing in size. Everything seems to be looking good. We're finally controlling this monster that is the Seagull.
Could we have a extra part of that function where it plays a particle effect, so that feathers explode out of the Seagull when it dies?
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I wonder if somebody did that already.
Aha.
Okay, so now I'm passing on to Jermaine, and he will do the particle system. So when the Seagull hits an object, it's going to lose some feathers, and you're going to work around the level design a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we've got coming up next.
Cool.
After we do a quick changeover in seats, we're gonna go over a bit of level design, some plans for the future in terms of what the level is gonna look like, and also some particle effects.
We'll be right back. And we are back, guys. So thanks, Jay, for that fabulous tutorial on how to do the logic for the Seagull getting smaller. Interesting seeing that bounce back feature. That's really cool. And I think that will go tie in nicely with some particle effects. So I'm just going to have a go and just have a play around with
Aren't you going to congratulate me on the on my amazing live design skills and then you're building?
Oh yeah, the
top of the road
design is
okay.
Top notch.
You're welcome.
I mean,
I can give you some tips later.
Yeah. As long as I could just get around this building.
There you go.
And get back to the street. Cool. So now I can get back to eating stuff.
Maybe you won't be able. Oh no, you can. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You're getting bigger. 121. Everything works. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So we got two different functionalities working. So for this functionality, I was just suggesting that it would be cool if we can have a feather effect, where feathers sort of pop off of the seagull, give it a bit more realism and stuff like that. What it's going to look like in the end is this.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just play this feather animation, it's going to be this, but maybe a little quicker and a little bit more relative to the seagull's size, because the seagull's quite small. And this is a really big explosion. So that was supposed to be the death explosion. And maybe we'll do some smaller ones for the actual explosion. I think we can just like rescale it to get a there you go,
Mm-hmm.
a better size. So that'll be probably a bit more realistic to what we're going to do. One of the main things that I had to create for this effect was the feather. So if we look at this feather image, it's basically just a very simple outline of a feather that I got from Google, and then I just went onto like a Photoshop or a Photopea online and filled this in with a solid color, just so I can use it as a feather. It works perfectly. I mean, if you want to, you can go in and really detail it by putting in all the lines of the feather and stuff like that. But for what we need right now, I just used this image that I downloaded, did a bit of editing on, and moved on from there. So the next stage for this was, once I had this feather texture in, and this is the texture, I needed to go into it and change it from default to a sprite 2D and UI. So this can be used in like particle systems and stuff like that. The next thing I wanted to do was make the sprite mode multiple. When it's single, it doesn't seem to show up, or it doesn't seem to have that alpha effect, so I'll just use, or the options for alpha, so I'll just use multiple. Next thing I went into was the advanced controls, and I turned alpha is transparency. This original image was a PNG image. If I turn this off, and I click apply, you're gonna get this black background, or you might not be able to see it there, but you can see it here. You're gonna get a black background. I don't want that, so you make sure alpha is transparency is switched on for that. And that's the majority of the settings that you want for the feather. The next thing you want to do is right click on the feather and create a material. So just go and create a material, and that will just give you a nice typical material shader that you would need for this effect. You want to go into your shader pipeline and change it to universal render pipeline particles unlit, and I changed the surface type to opaque. Well, I left the surface type as opaque and made the color mode additive. And that was pretty much all I needed to do for the feather. So I'm going to just create the particles system from scratch so you guys can see the process and just how all of this works. So the first thing I did was I just created an effect, called it particle system, and you get this same old generic particle system where particles just float up into the air. So the first thing I usually like to do is just test the features of the particle system to get the effect that I want, and then I add that texture, that feather texture that I just showed you. So what I want to do is I want to change the start speed to about, actually no, this is going to be 20. I want to change the lifetime to about 2. And I also want to add a gravity modifier, so I'm going to change that setting to 1. And I want a 3D start size on there.
Can you zoom out a little bit just so we can see the full effect in action? There you go.
There you go.
Brilliant. It's more like a fountain.
Yeah, right now it's a fountain. But we want it to be a little less explosive, so you can also play with the size if you want. So I'm going to change this I'm going to keep this at 20, but I'm going to change the scale later. So we've got a fountain, but what we want is a burst. So we want like a big burst of feathers that just fly out everywhere. Also, maybe you can change the max particles to 5,000 instead of 1,000, so you just get more bang for your buck, I guess. You want to change the rate over time. Let's say, bam. So you get like 1,000 particles coming out at once, and there you go. You've got a nice super fountain. And we want to add a burst to underneath this burst list and change the count to 1. And what I want to do is I don't want this to loop. So when I play this, it does 1 burst and then it stops. So essentially what we want is the lifetime to be shorter, or is it the, let's see, let's stop that. Maybe it's the duration. One of the two things I want to be short. There you go. So you just wanted the duration to be 1. I guess the lifetime then can be like 2 if you want. And we just want a quick burst of feathers. So the next thing you want to do is control the shape. So it's ginormous right now. What we're going to do is just scale it down a bit. Press play again.
And it's also shaped like a cone going upwards, right?
And there you go, you guessed it. It's shaped like a cone. So we want to change this to a sphere. So you get a bit more of a sphere burst. So now you want it to have, let's say, change the lifetime actually back down to 1.
Should be.
Let's keep this on loop so I can see what's happening. Alright, so now it's more like sort of a firework that's going on. But we just want that one short burst, so let's change it down.
Firework would be a nice particle system for the game over.
Yeah. So, or like maybe even a celebration, like surprise, you've won the game.
Right.
Okay, so max particles 5,000, stop action, start size. I think that's everything. 3D start size. Okay, so we've got the emission. You know it's going to be a burst. You know you're just going to have 1 burst count. Let's change the amount to 500. See if that makes a bit of a difference.
Maybe less?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe 100. No. Sphere, duration. Right, this is where I go back to my old one and check.
Nothing wrong with that. Maybe a smaller lifetime, I guess.
Yeah, so I actually had the original lifetime at 5. And I also had the duration at 2. And I had the max particles at less, so I think that probably was the problem. So I set this to 5,000, let's set it to 1.
Could be.
And what else did I do before? Start size is 1. And rate over time is 10,000. Yeah, I don't think I've actually, I think I've done everything. Delta time, scaling mode, scaled, rigid body, max particles 1,000, simulation speed, 1 and a gravitation modifier 1. Yeah, that is interesting. I'm not sure why it's that's interesting. I'm not sure why it's spraying out like this, going everywhere right now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just change this time back to 10k, or change this amount, rate over time. Okay, there you go. All right, so now it's fixed.
What did you change?
So I just changed the rate over time to 10k. So maybe it was a faster rate over time.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So it's bursting like.
What's your maximum number of particles? Is it 1,000?
Yeah, right now it's 1,000.
I think if you set the rate over time to the same amount, it should be fine. Like 1,000. So let's see. Nope. Okay.
Yeah, so it needs to be over. So I'm just gonna keep it at 10k.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Boom. So you've got a nice explosion, and depending on the scale, you just want to explode those feathers like that. So next thing you want to do is think about like how feathers fall. Do you want them to fall quickly? Do you want them to fall slowly and stuff like that? So that you can tweak in the gravity modifier. So if you want these feathers to fall slower, you can just change the gravity modifier or turn it up a bit, so you can just go to like 5 on the gravity. Oops. Or let's do 2.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's got a bit more like of a sharper fall off.
Yep.
And the next thing I want to do is go to. You can tweak around with things like force over lifetime and stuff like that, but we've pretty much got the explosion that we want. We just want to go and add this feather texture that I've created already. So I'm going to just go take this feather texture and just drag it into my particles on it. But one thing you're going to notice is the feathers, they all come out facing the same way. So you might have peeped this before when I was clicking back and forth from my earlier created explosion. What you want to do is you want to change the 3D start rotation, so you want to turn that on, and you want to do it in between 2 constants, so random between 2 constants. So I just did 360 on each axis, so you get a really random rotation for every feather on each axis. Okay. Lastly, this is something I haven't tested yet, but I am aware that you can do. So you can actually add a noise to this. So when it falls, if you noticed, I'll show you again, it's actually falling like feathers. So it's like shaking around. So let me just play that again. You see the feathers. So if you want to do that, you can actually add a noise and then change the strength for the noise as well. So if you change its strength.
Oh, that looks much better.
That looks so much better, right? So it looks like feathers. And then you can do a frequency, and I think you can do like, I'm not sure if you can do like a frequency over time or like a remap, and then change the curve from start to finish. Let's see. And then now it slows down its frequency after a while.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool added bonus to that effect. So now I think it's probably going to be your turn, Jay, to like, how do I get my particle effect on my Seagull and trigger it? Trigger this cool effect when it hits a wall or something like that would be something cool we can do. I don't know if do you want to do it this week, or should we keep these guys until next week to see this effect?
Let's give it a try. Let's improvise and give it a try.
Ah, cool.
Let's give people something to laugh about. Okay. So first of all, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get, which one is this one? Is this the new one?
That's the new one.
Okay,
It's
cool.
called Featherboard.
I'm going to child it to a Seagull, which is around here somewhere. There you go. So now the particle system is a child of Seagull. I'm going to position it on 0, 0, 0. So it's on the same position as its parent. So let's see. There you go.
Woo.
Great.
I can feel
Now, and okay, so now I'm going to back to the Seagull and add my foot collision. And you know what? After I decrease the Seagull size and before I disable the input, let's look for, there we go, particle system play. Okay. And I'm going to call this, and now I need a variable holding my particle system. I'm going to call it feather particle system of the type I wonder if game object would suffice. Let's see. And I'm going to set it. No, it will not be. Why not? Let's call particle. Removing. Okay. What about a type? Particle system. And it won't let me. It's interesting. Why it won't let me?
One thing I noticed, I think I did this with another game I was working on, is you can actually put the particle system on as a component of the Seagull. So just copy those values and then just put it on the component. And sometimes it helps a bit with visual description because you can just say this particle. Yeah, so you can use it as the component.
Yeah, before let me try one other thing before I try that. Let's just try another one here. And if he doesn't know, I'll just follow your advice. I'm just going to create an object variable, not a graph variable. Let's see if that makes any difference. Oh, there you go. That's it. And but not so. Now let's change it. Type to particle system and get this game object on it. And now get object variable. Feather particle system. Put it here. And that's what happens. Let's blow the birds up. Indeed, let's blow. Oh.
All right, so I think we have to disable play on awake.
Yeah. We'll do that in a second. Let's see what happens now. It's so far away.
Hey, look at that.
Sweet.
Fantastic.
Exploding seagulls. Gordon will be proud.
Well, it takes every
I mean, yeah, this. I think
time.
maybe was it have to do with the time delta time? I don't know.
Maybe we need to.
That's something we can work on.
Maybe we need to reset it. I don't know.
But yeah, not play on awake, which is around here somewhere.
Yeah, so I think it's at the top.
Play on awake.
There you go.
Here it is.
Disable that.
God, there was a there was an option that was like reset it after playing, but I guess we'll. You know what? Let's keep it like this for now, just so we can focus on level design.
Sweet.
And I'll check. I'll check it this week and let everybody know on the next stream.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Back to Jermaine then. We're not using the be right back, but that's okay. Just go ahead. Go.
All right. So apart from working and playing around with, thanks again, Jay, for
No problem.
that little feature. I think that's gonna just make the game so much more interesting. Just flying around. Next thing you know, you just explode into a big ball of feathers. So thanks for that. So yeah, apart from working on that last week in terms of the different features you can add to the game, the other thing was just using. Sorry, I just want to test this out again.
That's okay. Yeah. It's pretty fun.
just simple things. Move back, explode feathers, and it's actually really fun. Just to do that.
It makes a whole.
I don't know if people want to win the game or lose the game though.
No, I mean, yeah, it makes a world of difference. It's so fun, so much fun.
Yeah. So apart from that, what I worked on was a bit of level design. I was just searching for different tools that are available in Anything World to create a bit of scenery around the sides. So if you follow me through, you can go. I added a fence and a gateway to a park, so you can walk through this park if you want to, or fly through. Maybe we can put some food in here, a picnic table or a picnic basket or something like that. And I did something similar on the other side, where you've got a path that goes through. You've got some statues, you've got some mushrooms, you've got some wood, some logs, stuff like that. So I just got a little busy with adding some different nature-based assets and positioning them and stuff like that. And also added like a diner and a cinema. So maybe we can use some food for some, like, as in popcorn or different types of food for like diners. We can maybe put out on the outside like some rubbish or something like that the seagull can eat. I think you were suggesting earlier that we put some people on the roof and do a roof party.
Yeah, rooftop party. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we can do as well.
And that people is going, of course, be very edible eventually.
Exactly. And also added a little chicken based like a vendor.
Yeah.
Maybe the chicken. That's the reason chicken crossed the road.
We solved the age-old question.
Exactly. So I think we can use this. Maybe we can just duplicate this and replace the buildings. Or does it just need to have a box collider, rigid body, and a tag? And
the tag, yeah.
Editable tag.
But again, I think that, you know, thinking about it, the tag is probably going to disappear because everything is edible.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's probably a check that is going to disappear eventually. But I mean, keep it for now. It won't harm, you know.
Sure. So what I was trying to figure out was what we can put in this area here. Because what we're going to eventually do is get rid of these chips. So let's just hide these for now. Fries, where are the fries? A little bit of
a group, right? Yeah, just
a bit of housekeeping.
Search for a group. Let's make it easier. There you go, French fries group.
There you go. So we're just going to disable these. And what else do we want to get rid of? The pigs. As well. I don't think I put the pigs in the group. Let me see if I've got
There they are. Pigs.
There you go. Alright, so let's put these pigs in a group. And let's just hide these for a second as well. Okay, so this area could be anything, really, anything we want it to be. I think potentially it would be a good idea to have a farm or something that we can keep these pigs or these animals that walk around that you can eat in as well. So I was just thinking maybe we could just do like a small farm or, you know, some sort of nature-based area.
Sure.
So we can just go through on the Anything World browser and search for farm. Pretty simple. And see what we can find. So we've got like different bushes, different trees, different farm-based animals that come up. What I'm looking for maybe is like a bit of fencing.
Over there on the right column, on top of the blue fire, is that a fence or no? No, it's not, isn't it?
There's a fence here, but and the blue flowers. No, this is these are the logs. So we can probably use those a bit later. But let's actually just get a fence. So let's just type in fence. This is an interesting street. It's gonna have everything on this street. So maybe this house fence thing. I wonder if I can edit this. If I can edit this, then this is probably gonna be even better. So let's move this over here.
Oh, nice. Maybe another good candidate is the third one from the bottom on the right column.
Third from the bottom on the right. Oh, this one as well.
Is it?
It's a round table, so it's like an outdoorsy.
Oh, it's
thing.
a patio. It's a patio. Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you can use this later for like our parties.
Yeah. Okay.
This one I think is actually pretty cool. This organic farm one. So maybe.
Yeah.
This is organic farm. Let's rescale this and move this over here. So, which one do you prefer, like 1 or 2? I think this one's really clean, but this one like looks like you can actually just put some animals in there and everybody will understand that this is a farm.
I think the second one you can put the pigs within the pen.
Yeah.
And the chickens outside.
Exactly. So I think we'll go with this one. Let's get rid of this house one. And let's just go inside and rotate everything. Alright, so bring this down. And let's just line up with the fence that we got over here. Maybe a bit of scaling.
Yeah, lovely.
Okay, cool. So we've got a place to put our pigs. Let's reactivate that pigs group. And let's just put these guys over here. Who knows, we might... Perfect. So we might have like a farmer in the scene or something like that.
So Hasham is asking, what are you making?
All
so right. Hasham, if it's the first time you're with us, welcome. Very glad to have you with us. So what we're doing is we're developing a game which is currently titled Seagull game. And the goal of the game is that you have a seagull that eats stuff and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and as it gets bigger, it can eat bigger stuff, and eventually the seagull will be able to eat the whole scenario possibly, right? So what Jermaine is doing right now is doing a little bit of level design with the Anything World browser, and to create a livelier world, make it more interesting, more fun for you to play around. So that's what we are doing currently. This is the fifth, I think it's the 5th stream of the series.
Yeah.
So you can check our YouTube channel for the previous ones if you want to catch up. And of course, as usual, if you have any additional questions, feel free to ask in the chat or reach us out on Discord or LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, etc. But this is essentially what we're doing is developing the game.
Yeah, so going through each week, we're going to just be adding things. Even if you've got any suggestions that you think would be cool or something that would be interesting that we can add to the game, feel free to let us know.
So we are using the Unity engine, but the Anything World browser is available both for Unity and Unreal, and we have we also have the 3D models on our website, so you can check on our website anything.world. There's a 3D gallery there with the models, but currently we are developing the game using Unity.
That was a great explanation. Thanks for that, Jake.
No worries.
So what I'm doing now is I'm just going to use this apartment building alongside the rest of them. Just a new installment here. And I did say last week as well, we was going to look into having cars just driving up and down the street. So what I'm going to quickly do is, let's see if we've actually got this tool on the, where did I search for this tool? Alright, so let's create an empty. Let's call this path. So I'm just going to create a quick path, and let's just say add component, call this, there you go, sweet, path creator.
Glad to know you're Unity developer yourself, Hashan. Yeah, let us know, share with us what you're working on, what type of game are you working, or any games that you already worked on. Yeah, let us know. I always like to, or not I, but we always like to know what developers are doing. Is that the shader graph, or you're coding using blueprints? So yeah, so at the bottom of the screen, it's not shader graph, and it's not blueprints either. It's Unity's version of blueprints, which is called script graph. But essentially,
was it originally Bolt, or was it another? Which, because they took this.
Is that Bolt?
I think so.
Oh,
or
possibly.
Something originally it was originally Unity bought it out.
Oh, so that's Bolt then. Yeah. So it's but it's essentially, it's visual programming. So instead of writing code, you use what Unity called nodes. I can't recall what's the name in Unreal, but it's like visual blocks, each one doing a specific instruction. But essentially it's visual coding, same as blueprints in Unreal.
Okay, so what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just creating a path for a car to follow. I'm going to change the normals to 180 degrees. So as the normals are pointing up, that just shows where the y-axis for the cars are going to be pointing. This feature is only available if you download Sebastian Leg's path add-on for free from the asset store. But it's really cool for creating car motions and simple, secondary animations. So you could just go to, let's say, anything browser. I want to add another vehicle. So let's call this, seeing as we've got a farm, let's do a tractor. Going down the road. And there we go. We're going to have a tractor just from Anything World. And just in case you want to know, the tool we are using is Anything World. And it's basically a software that allows you to have access to our database and also our rigging files of animated characters, and also we bring a lot of 3D objects to life. I'm not sure the exact number of creatures that we've brought to life, but it's getting bigger and bigger every day. So yeah, so this tractor actually does move. It's already got its animation spawn radius on there. What I want to do quickly is disable that. So we're going to just change this, turn the disable the random movement script off, and front wheels, back wheels, turn speed. I'm going to change the maximum turn angle to 0. so that the wheel should stay straight, I think. I hope. Alright, so all I want to do now is actually add a path follower, and essentially it's just following this path right here. So I'm just going to drag that path in. I'm going to make it loop, so it just loops over and over again. And let's keep the speed to 5. So if I play the game, I should have a tractor, which when we get big enough as a Seagull, we might be able to eat vehicles. It would be cool to be able to chase down cars or tractors and stuff like that and eat them. So let's see where the tractor is. Oops. There we go. So it's all the way over on the other side of the road. And it's moving quite slowly, but you can see it's coming to us on this path. We might need to change the speed of the Seagull as well.
Yeah. Our seaside is becoming countryside. People is going to accuse us of not being realistic.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's pretty good.
So we got a tractor with nobody driving it. As you do.
It's a self-driving tractor.
And you can also go through the scene and continue to eat different objects. So as you get bigger, we're going to go to the farm, eat some chickens. We're going to go to the diner.
The pigs already.
And maybe the diner has had a spill of fries. So maybe the diner's lost all their fries. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some fries. There you go. And it's just going to be spilled out all over the streets. So we're going to move these fries over to the diner. You can also change the amount of fries that are available.
What? So
yeah, some guy very generous. Maybe that Beast guy from YouTube bought a bunch of fries and left them out for
tragic fries spillage.
Exactly. It's just chaos in the streets.
Tragic story. And what is it, Hashan? Is it a realistic VR simulator? Is it more of arcadey? Why not use Cinemachine for the camera? We are actually using Cinemachine for the camera that follows the Seagull.
Yeah.
It's just that there's not a lot to it really. It's just it's the camera just following the Seagull, but it has a little bit of the damping effect of Cinemachine. But we are using Cinemachine for the Seagull camera, yes.
I'm gonna park this Volkswagen over here in our parking space. I realized we had a lot of cars, so I added a parking space. All of the elements that you're seeing me use are all part of our Anything World library as well. So I haven't cheated or modeled anything myself. I'll put it in here. These are all elements that are in our Anything World tool set. So let's get this tractor, and I'm just gonna move it to like a space that it doesn't make me think I've made a mistake in designing it. And I'm just gonna park it over here. Okay, and so again, we've still got this massive sort of space here, and the cheeseburger. Cheeseburger should be at the diner.
Can I suggest that you put a chicken in the tractor's driver's seat?
Oh, that's a good idea. Chicken, or maybe a seagull is driving the tractor. Maybe we just go super like metal with this. Seagulls rule the world, and they also like turn into giant beasts. So let's just zoom back over here, and this is a group. Now, I like to have my picnics in parks, so I'm gonna just put this over in this park as a picnic. And these are all the things that we worked on last week. Just creating different like elements, edible elements. It's a bit of a tongue twister for some reason. Different edible elements that you can just fly through the scene and find in random places. I don't know what we're going to do with shark. I don't know if we should. I like the shark.
You know what? Leave it there for now.
I have no idea. Maybe it's a secret bonus prize.
It's going to be an Easter egg for sure. The shark is going to be somewhere.
Okay.
Leave it there for now.
Cool. So.
Oh, you know what? Put the shark on top of the cinema because the cinema is showing Jaws.
Ah. Shark cinema. Genius. I wish I thought that myself. Alright, so we're gonna
jump the shark.
Yeah, exactly.
Seagulls don't jump. So, it's a good idea, but seagulls don't jump.
Everybody thinks it's just a prop on top of a cinema. It's actually edible. So shark movies.
Yes.
Oh, we should use a gym and just do gym shots as a pun. Alright, so
Not unless they pay us.
next we've got some extra stuff to add. So I think like obviously next to the farm we need a farm house. That would make sense, right? To have next to the farm a bunch of farmhouse. So let's just get one of those. You name it, we probably have it.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't, we'll probably be uploading it soon. So
Or a barn.
there you go.
Yeah. There it is.
Sweet. Alright. But yeah, this just makes designing levels and putting things together so much easier using Anything World. I would have had to, instead of gone to Sketchfab or something like that, taken ages and downloading it. I know Sketchfab's got its own plugin as well, but still, like Anything World it's just worked so well for this sort of thing. Also, it comes with everything's animated and integrated, both Unity and Unreal.
Yep.
So that's what makes it great as well. So next to the farm, this is still a space. Anybody in the chat?
Well, Hasham said he likes the idea of the chicken driving
Driving the
Thank
tractor.
you, Hasham.
Okay. Let's get a chicken and chuck it in them. Make it a child.
Just be careful.
Let's do a still only.
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Roblox chicken. Or rooster. I know there's loads of different options here. Let's just do the regular chicken.
Yeah.
I think this guy's got the skills to drive a tractor. The necessary skills to be a top tractor driver. So this one, I don't know what's going on with the textures.
I think is it underneath the floor maybe? No.
That's a texture thing. Let's try another one. I think it was this one. Was it this one I did before? Yeah, it was this one. Alright, so let's go with... Wait, is this guy sitting down? Perfect. Oh, but he's all one solid object. That would have been perfect for a tractor. Should I just chuck him in there anyway? No.
I would put it exactly like this.
Alright, there you go. Let's do that then. Put this chicken behind the desk driving a tractor.
And the chicken...
It's getting like so
and
crazy.
it's calculating a derivative. The derivative function. This is madness.
It's also it's calculating. It's doing maths.
No, it's not. Oh God, what's the name of that?
I don't know what it's doing, but
I don't know the name in English of that thing. It's
What is it doing? Oh, it's doing.
yeah, it's a derivative.
Wow.
Look at that. From 0 to 10 equals. I don't know if that's true. It's been ages since I. Is it the derivative? Let me just check.
Alright, so whatever this chicken's doing, it's doing it while driving a tractor, which makes it super capable of driving a tractor.
Absolutely.
Alright, so let's move this chicken, and as a child of the tractor, where the tractor is over here. Let's play it, and I'm just gonna go flick back to the scene mode, and there you go. Look, this scene just already looks so much better with being filled out. So, so it's not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this component. And I'm going to paste it on the chicken, and let's see if... Oh wait, no, I haven't made it a child tractor. Let's try this again. There you go. So we've got our chicken driving a tractor. And yeah, cool. Good comedy relief is the antidote for a level design.
I want to apologize for our audience. That is not a derivative function. That's an integral function. Sorry for the confusion. I know everybody is fuming that I was wrong.
Okay, so let's just drop this path down a bit. I don't even understand the difference between the two. So just the fact that you noticed that.
So next,
it's good enough for me.
Great. So next live stream is going to be about the difference between derivatives and integrals.
Perfect.
No.
Alright, so
thanks. We gotta go. Okay, thanks, Ashia. I hope you'll come back next week. We're here every week, 4 p.m. BST. So yeah, check out next week, and I hope you enjoyed. And check out anything.world. That's our website. Give it a try. And let us know what you think.
Cool. So we are pretty much.
I'm sorry.
Are we close to the end of the stream?
I was worried about the function name. Let me have a look at the tractor again. Is the chicken driving?
Yeah. I'm just gonna go in play mode so you can see on scene mode. Perfect.
That looks brilliant. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. This game is getting
the
better
game
and better.
looks pretty good. A lot better now with the farm. You can fly out the farm. You can go into the parking lot if you want. You've got tractors coming down. With the same path function, I want to add people walking up and down the street.
Mm-hmm.
We've got that already. We've got people walking. And we're going to just do that probably a bit next week. Or maybe I'll use the same function. I'm going to add that in between the weeks and just have some humans walking around. Maybe get some butterflies in the sky. We can just do that right now.
This stream had it all, right? I mean, we had Seagull had injuries.
Crammed a lot into an hour.
We had exploding feathers. We had calculus. We had farms. I mean,
just add some butterflies to
fun for the whole family.
Exactly. Let's do a quick butterfly group. There we go. We're going to find something to add to this section here. I was thinking maybe a school or maybe a shopping center.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna check our gallery. I'm gonna think of something nice to add later.
Cool. All right, so let's do a more. I'm gonna search for more. Let's just search for store. Or let's search for school. Grocery. Okay. I'm going to search in building. Cool. Alright, so we're just going to add one last building to the street, and it's going to be this.
Is it a school?
It looks like it's a boarded up house.
Oh, nice. We can add ghosts,
I do like the design,
monsters,
design of it and all that stuff
look
like
at
that. So we'll add this to the. It's got a good size to it. Looks like a bit of a warehouse.
I like it.
And let's just put it right here. Maybe, whoops. Maybe drop it back a bit.
So good.
There you go. So put this on the floor.
A little bit more.
It's too high.
There you go. A little bit behind. Beautiful.
Sweet. So when you actually play the game, like the street looks filled up. It's got a lot of life to it. You've got a lot more of the scenes. We're going to add some roads in the back and in the front. Give it a background. Give it a foreground as well. And yeah, I'm just going to keep building this throughout the weeks. But thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Yes.
This week. Hopefully, you've taken a lot from. I definitely have taken a lot from today's session. And yeah, any last words, Jay? Anything you want to say?
No, it's brilliant. Again, it's always a joy to see you build stuff because I am no artist at all, so it's always amazing to see things coming together. Thanks a lot, Jermaine. And
Likewise.
Thanks everybody for joining us. Join us again next week. Again, we're going to share the project so you can play around. And see you later. Bye-bye. Thanks again.
See you guys. Bye. Here comes the part where I don't know how to do this.
Stop